Hi guys, it's Archivist here, and today I thought I'd do a review of a game that caught its fair share of controversy when it was first released last year. Diablo 3 is unfortunately known by many as the game that you must always be connected to the internet in order to play, which tragically led to many people giving the game a miss. In this video review, I hope to show you guys what the game is really about, and how it has progressed since its rough beginnings. As per usual, I will begin with the story of Diablo 3. My only real point of reference here is Torchlight, as I am admittedly not too well acquainted with the dungeon crawler genre. However, I can assure you that in comparison Diablo 3 is something of a masterpiece when it comes to narrative. However, when compared to more story focused genres such as your traditional RPG, it has to be said it's fairly mediocre. Without wanting to give away too much, the game naturally follows on from Diablo 2 and follows your character of choice as they attempt to uncover the evil behind the attacks on Tristram. The game is split into 4 fairly long acts, each set in a different environment. Of the 4, the majestic backdrop of heaven was by far my favourite chapter to play through, if only for the enemy variety. In between each chapter you are given a brief update on how the story is progressing through monologues by your chosen character. However, I never found these that interesting, and so decided to skip a few the second time around. Although between the major acts we are treated to some of Blizzard's world-class cutscenes that show off the quality of animation that they are capable of. However, I never found the narrative implications of these scenes particularly engaging, as I was too busy looking at the eye candy. Overall, I definitely found the story of Diablo 3 entertaining as an afterthought, however it certainly wasn't one of the major factors behind my enjoyment of the title. This is what Diablo 3 is all about, the gameplay. While it is certainly true that the core mechanics can be summarised as clicking your mouse an unholy amount of times, the addition of supplementary powers gives the game a much needed tactical edge. I didn't find myself using them that much in my first playthrough of the game, however when tackling game on nightmare difficulty these options became far more important. What I would probably call the core drive of this game would be the loot collection. This basically means collecting items off of dead monsters and equipping them to your character in order to boost their abilities. Monsters will typically drop common grade items which do little but protect your hero. However, when you start to take down some of the tougher enemies, you will find yourself with rare items that provide various magical benefits. If you find yourself lacking in terms of armour and weapons, you can always visit the blacksmith, which can be used to create your own gear. Not only this, but if you find yourself with more magical loot than you can hold, the blacksmith can be used to recycle those items. As an extra bonus to your items, you can even equip gems which give statistical bonuses based on their colour. You can combine lesser grades of these gems together in order to create greater gems which have more potent properties. The graphics in the game are something I have to take issue with. Considering that you only see a very small section of the screen, the game seemed too demanding for what it is. Considering that Torchlight could run on a netbook, the same netbook by the way that struggled to play YouTube videos, I was surprised to find that this game was as taxing as it was. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing along the lines of Far Cry 3, but definitely too much for what it is. However, if I had to guess what was taking up the majority of the processing power, I would likely put it down to the elaborate physics engine the game uses. I am glad it's there, as it makes kills far more satisfying when you send an enemy flying helplessly across the screen. It may seem like a small thing, but it really goes a long way to making the combat more engaging. Overall, the graphics are nice to look at, but can sometimes come off as a bit blocky, especially when looking at your character close up. Although I did find a few moments where the game really took me by surprise with its beauty. I am going to use the lasting appeal section of this review to address some of the many issues that have been associated with this game since its launch. Firstly, I completely agree that this game should not always have to be online, and as I was recently on a holiday where we were stuck in a cabin without Wi-Fi, it just felt wrong that I couldn't play what was for me an excellent solo experience. However, Blizzard have sorted out many of the issues that plagued the game, such as not being able to even log in, as well as severe latency. This means that if you do have a reliable internet connection, the online requirement is a non-issue. Another point of controversy is the real money auction house. The negative implication of this surface is that some of the more powerful items in the game can only be bought with real money. This means that the challenge of later levels can be drastically increased if you are unlucky enough to be without decent loot. However, I have been able to complete the game on nightmare difficulty, which means a completion of the game twice. On my previous account, which was unfortunately lost, I did this 3 times with different character choices. This would have given me a total playtime of somewhere around 2 days. For me at least, this amount of gaming time alone warrants the price tag. I still think the game would be better off without the real money auction house personally. However, I do think its presence is greatly exaggerated by some, so don't let it be too much of a deterrent. I mean, it is a way of making money for yourself just by playing the game, to look at it from a positive angle. Through selling 3 legendary items, I was able to make £20 total. I wouldn't have paid this price myself, but it turns out there are people out there with apparently very deep pockets. Thank you for reaching the end of my Diablo 3 review. I hope that this video has been helpful in giving you an idea whether or not this game is for you. In terms of score, I award Diablo 3 for PC and Mac a solid 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching and see you next time.